Welcome to Coffee with Job, and the observant amongst you will notice I'm in a new place. For the first time in 3 months, I've gone to the office, and this is in the backyard just at the ENC office at Moore College. Still got my coffee. And we're coming back to Job chapter 8, and it's still Bildad's words. And we're looking at some really important things here. So, he says this, "Ask the former generation and find out what their ancestors learned, for we were born only yesterday and know nothing, and our days on earth are but a shadow." Sounds like good advice, doesn't it? Take wisdom from the past. Well, except Bildad's a traditionalist, a moralist. His source of information is not experience, but scholarship. This is not, personal. It's scholarly learning. His position is that what is true is not new, and what is new is not true. And he argues it really strongly. Have you ever noticed that? Sometimes people argue the most vehemently when their case is weaker. You know, the old adage of the speaker who put in his notes, "Argument weak here, shout louder." Then in verses 11 to 19, he says this, "Can papyrus grow tall where there is no marsh? Can the reeds thrive without water? While still growing and uncut, they wither more quickly than grass. Such is the destiny of all who forget God. So perishes the hope of the godless. What they trust in is fragile. What they rely on is a spider's web. They lean on the web, but it gives way. They cling to it, but it does not hold." Now, I think he uses fabulous poetry here, by the way. And he gives these examples of the papyrus plant, which dries up for lack of water, and the fragility of the spider's web. And he says, without God, you are like them, which is true. It's true. What he's saying there is not true. It's not false. However, it's the application and the implication of what he's saying. Because he goes on, verse 16, "They're like a well-watered plant in the sunshine." There we go, there's one. "Spreading its roots over the garden. It entwines its roots around a pile of rocks and looks for a place among the stone. But when it's torn from its spot, that place disowns it and said, 'I never saw you.' Surely its life withers away, and from the soil other plants grow. Surely God does not reject one who is blameless or strengthen the hands of evildoers. He will yet fill your mouth with laughter and your lips with shouts of joy. Your enemies will be clothed in shame, and the tents of the wicked will be no more." This well-watered plant, that's what we see in Psalm 1. Like a tree that stands beside the waterside, we shall not be moved. But all of this does not lead to the conclusion that if you suffer, it must be because you are without God. In Job's case, it's exactly the opposite. It's because he so holds on to God that he's been tested in this way. Derek Thomas says this, and I think this is very true: "A rigid application of a truth which prevents the possibility of exceptions or broader analysis of the situation is a dangerous and cruel line to take." We need to be really careful in making judgments. Bildad cannot see that. He's a neat but superficial thinker. He's a moralist. He forgets that the world cannot be divided into the good guys and the bad guys. We are all sinners, but here he's being inhumane and he's pigeonholing God. He doesn't understand Job. He doesn't know Job. His advice should be what Job knows he already is, that he believes in God, that he trusts in God, and yet he's suffering. God does not reject one who's blameless. We've already been told that Job was blameless. "Take my advice," he says, "and you will be happy." Okay, look, folks, what's wrong with all of this? It's very straightforward, isn't it? Just this book is wonderful. The Bible is wonderful. But don't use it as a hammer to bash people. And be very, very careful in making judgments. Judgments about yourself, judgments about other people. We don't know. We have to look beyond ourselves to the bigger picture. And in particularly, we have to look beyond that to Christ. And I think of Christ saying this: "The bruised reed he will not break. The bruised reed he will not break." You know, there are times you have to speak truth, and it's truth in love, but it can be really, really tough. But just let's be careful not to be like Bildad. moralizing from the past, judging someone we do not know, and speaking on behalf of a God who's not told us to say it. All right, that's us for this week. See you on Sunday, I hope, for the Romans Road, and then back on Monday, probably back to the balcony on Monday, when we look at Job's answer and his response to Bildad. God bless you, and see you then.